Mr. Beast has found himself in yet another lawsuit. It just continues to not be Mr. Beast's year. And we are going to get into all that has been said in this lawsuit, as well as some other things that are going on. We're talking about Jeff Wittek talking about Casey Neistat in a conversation that they've had. And we're also going to be talking about Jason Nash making a joke about the fact that people do not like that he is on TikTok Live and panhandles for money. And so he wanted to just make a little joke about that played into a TikTok trend that is currently going around. So we're going to be talking about all of this in this Sunday special. I used to post these Sunday specials every single Sunday, but then I started doing weekly teacaps on just like random days of the week, but I wanted to bring it back. We have an intro. I'm super excited about it. So let's spill on everything that has happened this week that we did not get to cover yet. Let's start with Jason Nash, who's been catching some serious heat for being on TikTok and, as people have been calling it, panhandling for money. For a while now, Jason has been doing battles on TikTok Live, and that has been a huge conversation with most people clowning him. Jason has defended his decision to do it in the past and says that he's only doing it to provide for his family because he was going to lose his house if he wasn't going to be doing something like this, and he honestly doesn't want to do another job. He says that there's things in the entertainment industry that he's trying to do, but this is what is currently paying his bills since the vlog squad is no longer. And recently, Jason decided to play into a TikTok trend where he was jokingly defending himself battling on TikTok, saying, "I don't get all the Jason Nash hate. I actually really like his lives. He's so funny and always has something interesting to say. He's also 51 and has all this hair and is still killing it in the bedroom. And I heard he does see his kids quite a bit, and in fact, they do respect him. Anyone who makes fun of him is a diarrhea face who makes farts in their pants." Then he flips the camera around and it's himself, which is the whole joke of the TikTok trend, to make it seem like you're defending someone, and then you turn around and it's really just you defending yourself. Anyway, after posting this, he obviously got a lot of mixed reactions, but some obvious support from people in the vlog squad like Todd and Susie, who said LMAO and Nash Nation. But I suppose the timing of this is interesting, as Tana and Jeffrey were recently just talking about TikTok battles, and specifically Jason Nash, and Jeffrey did not even want to be compared to Jason.
How could you call me Jason Nash when I have the #1 beauty store on the #1 app in America?
I don't think that you and Jason Nash are in the same caliber of people, literally at all.
So it was certainly interesting timing for Jason to want to come out and defend himself, I guess. But people still think there is just so many other things that Jason could be doing other than sitting in his kitchen on live, asking people to send him galaxies. Speaking of the vlog squad, let's get into what Jeff Wittek recently had to say about Casey Neistat, since Casey's recent comments about the David Dobrik documentary have gone around. I recently talked about how Jeff did react to what Casey had to say about the fact that he made this documentary and that it was a deep dive into the rise and fall of David Dobrik's career, including all the controversies that came with it, and how he hasn't put it out because he is protecting David. Obviously, Jeff didn't like hearing this, and he was venting on the last podcast, and he spoke even further about this with Tana and said that he actually texted Casey after hearing what he had to say recently, and he's just confused as to why Casey would protect David when David doesn't even seem interested in maintaining a friendship with him.
I texted Casey. I also spoke a little bit about it on the last episode, but I texted Casey. I was like, "You're still drinking the Kool-Aid, brother." I was like, "I just watched that interview, and it's insane to me that you said those things. You believe those things." You know, I was like, I used to look up to you as an inspiration. I would even watch your videos with my family. And he responded. He was like, he did respond immediately. He was like, "Look, I'm with my kids right now. It's late, but I'll take everything. Like, I'll call you tomorrow. We'll discuss everything. I'll own everything I said or whatever."
Did you talk on the phone?
I mean, there's nothing left to be said. You believe that, you're drinking the Kool-Aid. When you stop drinking the Kool-Aid, you snap out of it. You realize what you just said. You realized what you are doing.
Why?
And how you feel towards this kid who doesn't even speak to you or give a about you, give a about anybody.
Jeff revealed that Casey is even wanting to come onto his podcast and that he's willing to have a conversation with him, but unlike the last time he had him on, he isn't going to go easy on him. He said that it was right after the New York City Marathon and he was just really happy to have Casey on, but this time, no, he's not going to get away with saying some of the things that he said.
And sorry, before I keep cutting you off.
No, I'm trying to cut you off.
He did say that he wants to come on the podcast here and have a discussion with me, which I'm open to always, but also this time around, it's not going to be like last time when I was just like so grateful to have him. I saw how he feels, so I'm not going to be so nice. Because
if you guys remember the last time that Jeff had Casey on, he was still talking very highly about David Dobrik in front of Jeff. And he was even saying how he feels bad that him and David are not friends anymore and that he's personally never experienced a falling out of a friendship in this way. And I'm just sitting there like, how do you think Jeff feels?
I think for me, and I know your relationship with the whole story is very different. It's a movie I made about David Dobrik. It was initially a story about how David really is just this superstar who came from nothing and became this star, and I wanted to tell that story. And then it ended up becoming the story about that article that came out that just torpedoed his career. It was difficult for me because I really loved David. I still do. And I did then, and he was a wonderful friend. And the idea of making a video celebrating your friend's success is really exciting. But then when everything goes sideways, I still felt like, I don't know, I felt a responsibility to see the movie through, but the story had changed.
And so Jeff really wanted to make it clear that this time, none of that was going to be happening. He was going to be sitting there and letting Casey say these things to him.
He told you to your face what?
Said like David's a good guy and stuff.
That's so
I
nuts
wish
that anyone
I caught
has.
it at the time. Good, I was so fried from the marathon that like my brain fluid was low. I was so dehydrated that I couldn't even like debate him, nor that I even want to. I was just like, let me just get an episode with Casey Neistat. It's cool. He's the man. But my opinion changed. I growing up.
That's like really just so crazy to look you in your face and say that he's a good guy. Like it's arguably just maybe the one person you really shouldn't. There's actually a few people, but I'm just saying like what that's nuts.
I guess we'll have to see if Casey actually does end up going on, but it's still just so crazy to me that he can admit that he's protecting David and wants to still play nice with Jeff too. It's just so frustrating, and clearly it's upsetting to Jeff as well. But speaking of more upsetting things and also legal situations, we've got more legal drama in the world of Mr. Beast. The new lawsuit has just dropped, and it's from yet another former employee. The plaintiff is Brittany Carter, who worked for Mr. Beast's company, Mr. Beast YouTube LLC. She's alleging that she's owed unpaid wages, overtime, and damages under labor laws. According to the lawsuit, Brittany was making $10,000 a month paid bi-monthly, and her compensation included an apartment provided by the company. But here's the kicker. She wasn't considered an official employee, meaning she didn't get any employee benefits. She also wasn't restricted from working for other companies, but the contract seems super specific about what she could or couldn't say about her role. Now there's screenshots of the lawsuit going around so people can read them, and this one was floating around that says Brittany Carter versus Mr. Beast LLC. It says, comes now, plaintiff Brittany Carter, complaining of defendant Mr. Beast YouTube LLC, alleges and says the following: this is an action seeking to recover unpaid wages, overtime, compensatory damages, liquidated damages, and attorney fees from defendant for violation of the Fair Labor Standard Act and the North Carolina Wage and Hour Act. As part of her compensation from defendant, the company provided Ms. Carter with an apartment through its housing liaison. Ms. Carter was paid $10,000 per month on a bi-monthly basis. According to the agreement, Ms. Carter was not to receive employee benefits of any kind or nature. Further, according to the agreement, Ms. Carter was not restricted from working for or providing services to any other third parties unless such work or services would prohibit her from fully performing the services contemplated under this agreement. The agreement also stated that Ms. Carter will not be expressly or impliedly hold herself out to any third party as an agent of defendant. Now, this isn't the only lawsuit that Mr. Beast has faced this year. Back in September, Mr. Beast faced another lawsuit that was tied to his Beast Games competition show. Several contestants complained that they were mistreated during that filming process, describing the conditions as unprofessional and unsafe. The allegations ranged from poor accommodations to a lack of communication, and it left fans wondering if the production team behind one of YouTube's biggest creators was dropping the ball. As someone whose entire brand is built on goodwill and generosity, these lawsuits aren't just legal problems, they're image problems. And with large creators calling him out for workplace issues, 2024 just has not been his year. We recently did talk about how he sat down with Caleb, who is Oompaville on YouTube, to discuss some things, but even with him getting pressed on certain things, people don't think that everything was really covered, but some people are disappointed that he doesn't want to come out on his own platform and address things. But it does seem like the reason why he's chosen to come out and talk to at least Caleb about some of the things that have been said about him is because the trailer for his Beast Games did drop this week, so I'm sure he wanted to try and at least clear up a little bit of his image before that came out, but he did reply to a video teaser of it it and said, "Is this the same one where a lot of contestants complained of terrible conditions?" And MrBeast replied saying, "We have tons of behind the scenes dropping when the show does to show how blown out of proportion these claims were. Just can't release it now because it would spoil the games." So he is clearly standing by the fact that things surrounding Beast games were just blown out of proportion in the press. It's all just so interesting, but as of right now, that's what's been said. I want to know what you guys think about him getting hit with yet another lawsuit, and also everything else we talked about today, from Jason trying to joke about what he's doing on TikTok to what Jeff said about Casey. Let me know your thoughts. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye, guys.